Welcome back to the Code Apes podcast. I'm your host Victor, and this is my co-hominid, Connor. How are you doing?
Doing well. We're out of lockdown now.
Yes, finally.
Level 4 lockdown was ended on the 21st, was it?
Something like that, yeah, a couple of days ago. People rushed out to fast food places immediately.
Yeah, there was even a guy camping at like 8 PM outside of KFC. We weren't that hardcore, but I definitely had some pizza tonight, so...
Nice. It didn't even come to you too late, did it?
No, it was like 25 minutes, 30 minutes. No,
yeah, it's not bad. You could have got free delivery though.
I could have, yeah, but that would have cost me $3. So.
No, because it would have been free.
Yeah, but then I have to get Domino's again, and it's like.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, anyway, how are you doing?
Oh yeah, real good, eh? Definitely been having fun with Magic in the last week, and looking forward to what we're going to talk about today. Which sounds like, yeah, what we got lined up is a little bit of discussion about the limited format, the new set Innistrad Midnight Hunt that's just come out, and yeah, just sort of have a rundown of it, really.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting week for Magic with the whole new set release, and
yeah,
I'm especially liking the additions to Modern, because I've been playing a lot of Modern, looking at a lot of streams and seeing how that's going, and it's been cool to see new decks and old decks getting refined and stuff, and it's been good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good segue, actually. Do you want to take us through a little bit about what you've been messing around with in Modern?
So, as you would have heard from our previous episode in the Innistrad previews, my top favourite card was Faithful Mending, sorry. Purely for the Modern applications for it, which I've been putting to good use with Esper Reanimator. I talked about that in the first previews, I think.
Yes.
How Esper Reanimator could be a big contender with Faithful Mending. And we saw that in the results. There was challenge results this weekend. There was one in the top 8.
Oh, right.
Which was really cool to see. And
nice.
Also the other deck being Arclight Phoenix coming back and playing white.
Right, which is pretty big departure for it, because it's always been just like a straight blue-red deck, right? There's been mono-red decks, I suppose, but...
Yeah, blue-red was obviously the big one.
Yeah.
Mono-red was a more low-to-the-ground version, but blue-red ultimately was the best version.
Yeah. So what are people playing now in the white builds? Is it just red-white?
No, red-blue-white, Jeskai.
Red-blue-white, right, that makes sense.
Jeskai Phoenix with 4 Mending, 4 Consider, from the new set, the new powered up opt, and also Prismatic Ending.
Cards worth playing.
Yeah, because that in the main deck you've got answers to Graveyard Hate already, so you don't need to dedicate that much sideboard slots to anti-Graveyard Hate.
Yeah.
And also playing Demi-Lich.
Oh yes, that's right.
From the D&D set, which got a lot of hype when it was released. But
and then people immediately forgot about it.
Yeah, people immediately forgot about it because it just wasn't good enough. But now with Faithful Mending, I think it's definitely a lot better.
Right.
But in saying that, my favourite deck of Modern so far is not a Faithful Mending deck. It's a Reclamation deck, which historically I've hated. Wilderness Reclamation was a scourge on Standard, Historic, and Pioneer, right? I think it abandoned Pioneer too, didn't it?
Probably. I remember it being a thing at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. But in Modern, I've been having a lot of fun with it. With one of my top cards of Innistrad being Memory Deluge.
Yes.
That card is so good with Reclamation.
Yeah, it's looked really good. I've seen you cast it a couple of times, and it seems like it's actually doing a bit of work, eh?
The whole Fact or Fiction versus Memory Deluge, not even close. Yeah. Not even close. Memory Deluge is by far better.
Right.
Sometimes,
especially when you've got like Reclamation out, and you can just play both halves of it practically right after each other.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also just play Reclamation on their untap your lands, play your on their end step. You can play Deluge, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, and on your you can also just tap out on your turn to play it, float like 6 mana, play it on your end step, untap all your mana, and you've got all the cards that you've got from Deluge open now.
Yeah.
That's been a really fun deck, and it's just really powerful of a deck. I was wondering if a Bant version would be better. Basically, switching out the Ren and Sixes and Lightning Bolts for Prismatic Ending into Fairy
Yes.
would be the main ones.
And
But I'm
Teferi
not.
seems like it's pretty good against like all the, yeah, just all the other decks that are doing a lot of instant speed stuff. You got still quite a few Unholy Heats in the format, right, as well? I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter in a deck that's not playing a ton of creatures, but
Yeah,
makes it harder for them to kill your Shark Typhoon tokens, right?
that's true. Actually, yeah, Shark Typhoon is great. Just making 8/8s, 10/10s with Reclamation is so fun.
Yeah.
It's like 1 or 2 shot your opponent. It's good.
I think I saw you make a 16 power Shark the other day.
Yeah, 16 power Shark. That was good. That was really good. But no, that's probably going to be my go-to deck online at the moment, I think.
Right. Actually, I have a question for you about that deck, which is, how have you been finding the Reclamation, Wilderness Reclamation count? Because I think I saw last time you were messing around with the list, there was 3.
Yeah, it's not exponential.
Right.
Where like it was in Standard, where having 1 was really good, having 2 was absurd.
Yeah.
In Modern, it's not that much of a change.
Right.
Because you don't have X spells like what they had, which was Expansion Explosion, stuff like that.
And, yeah.
You have Shark Typhoon, but the difference between a 10/10 and like an 18/18 or whatever is not that big of a difference in Modern.
Right.
They all basically die to the same things.
That makes sense, actually.
So running 3 is fine because you want to see 1, and some of the times, a lot of the times you can just win without it.
That's true. The deck is pretty much just like a good control deck. Other than that, right?
Yeah, it's a teamwork control deck. So it doesn't even need Reclamation to win. Whereas the standard versions, like
It's
historic
practically
versions, like
centered around it.
yeah, you needed to play 4 because you needed to see 1. But now you don't need to, and the card selection in Modern is better, so you don't necessarily need that many.
Yeah. Consider, get out of this.
I'm not even playing Consider. I'm not playing Consider.
Oh, you're not playing Consider?
No. I'm playing a Growth Spiral, which ramps into it.
Oh, yeah, of course. That was a classic from Standard as well.
That's true. Archmage's Charm is a big one, because you go
Yes.
turn 3, you can Archmage's Charm, turn 4, Reclamation.
Yeah, it sounds like the deck has a ton of draw power.
It does, yeah. And a lot of cheap removal, because I'm also playing Unholy Heat as well.
Right, as well yourself. I guess it's an enchantment. You can pitch it, or get the extra Delirium opportunities.
Yeah. It's surprisingly easy to hit Delirium with the deck.
Right.
So, Unholy Heat's just great. It's just better than Lightning Bolt, basically, in the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's
that's been my look into Modern over the past week. It's been a good one.
I haven't actually played that much Modern lately. Usually I'm a big fan of Modern, and I still really enjoy the format. But since the set just came out, Innistrad Midnight Hunt, I've been having a lot of fun with Limited, which I think is what we're mostly going to talk about today. So I guess I won't go too much into details just yet. But in the next segment, we're going to do a bit of talking about that.
Actually, one thing I should say is a lot of these deck lists that I've been looking at and tuning are from Aspiring Spike.
True.
Because he is an amazing deck builder. And you should...
Oh, how's the race going? Is he still having like a trophy race with someone?
No, that was done like a week or so ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lost by 2 trophies.
Oh, damn close though.
yeah, but no, he gifted, what's his name, Principe, I think it was his name, 400 subs, which is $2,000 US. So
right,
yeah, but it was really fun to watch and spectate. So
yeah, a bit.
It was good. But yeah, anyway.
Alright, so I think we were going to kick off the limited segment with a bit of a discussion of the power ranking of colours, in our opinions. So we've put together lists of, where we think the colours sort of lie in relation to each other, and we're going to see if they're matching, and use it as a start to our discussion.
Yeah, who wants to go first?
Well, I reckon we should probably... Should we start at the top or bottom? What do you reckon?
I think we just start at the top.
Start at the top. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, my colour number 1 is blue.
Okay.
What do you have?
Mine's black.
Ooh.
And I assume number 2 will be the opposite.
Yep. That's where I am.
Yep, so both of our top 2 is blue and black.
Yep.
Number 3...
I thought it was close when I was putting them.
Yeah. Which is number 3?
Number 3, I've got green.
Me too.
Oh, okay. So we know red and white are at the bottom of both, but in which order? I've got red 4th and white 5th.
Yeah, same.
Ooh, okay, so that's actually a real close list. The only difference is whether we think black or blue is the best.
The top 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say there is a huge gap between 2nd and 3rd.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree. I think 4th and 5th are pretty similar. 1st and 2nd pretty similar.
Yeah,
but
I think that there's basically 2 categories in this, which is the best blue black, worst green red white. Like there's not really an in between. I feel like blue and black are just by far so much better.
I think green might be, in my opinion, green's the in between. But I guess we'll have a bit of a chat about that. I guess just in terms of blue and black, should we sort of justify what made you pick black as the top color in the format?
Because there's a very powerful for older listeners of the older listeners who play Magic for a while, I should say.
Yep.
There was a card, I think it was an M10 or something, called Grave Titan.
Yes.
And there is a very similar card, which is now a common.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about this one. But yeah, go on.
In the set, and that is Diagraph Horde. And it costs 1 less. It is a 5-mana 3/4, and when it enters the battlefield, create two black zombie creatures with Decayed, and you get to exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards.
I mean, that is a lot.
It's basically Grave Titan.
I will say, it doesn't feel a lot like Grave Titan. I think I've played a little bit of Grave Titans in the past, not super competitively, obviously. It hasn't been competitive for quite a while. But one of the big things is that you can block with the Titan tokens, which sort of helps you stabilize when you're getting beaten down. But in this case, I feel like it's definitely a card that's slanted either aggressively or with a lot of utility that you can get from the Decay tokens. But in saying that, I agree that you do just cast that card and suddenly obtain a lot of game objects, which are very easy to piece into an advantage.
Yeah, and not to mention the exiling is very relevant in the set.
It is. I forgot, honestly, until today, like just before the podcast, I was doing a couple of games of draft, and I forgot it had the exile clause on it because I was already sold on the fact that you get 2 Decayed zombies. And I had I had 2 flashback spells in my graveyard, which they exiled. I was like, oh, that's a card.
Like, that just puts it over the top. I think if it didn't have that clause, I think, fair, it's probably like a C+ or something.
Right.
But that exiling clause, with all the disturb, all the flashback...
It's actually been quite relevant, eh? All the cards that say exile something have usually proved to be pretty useful. Yeah,
and especially in the blue-black kind of zombies deck, which we'll probably talk about for a bit, there's a lot of synergy that you can get with these tokens.
Yeah.
My first impression with the Decayed tokens is they wouldn't be that relevant, but seeing them in action with cards like Siege Zombie and the blue one.
Yeah, the one that taps.
The one that taps. Wrangled something. Or yeah. Wrangler. The Wrangler. There's just so much synergy you can get with the Decay tokens, and this card is a huge piece to that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I actually agree with that. I've been quite impressed by the Decay tokens. I think we talked about it slightly last time, but in my very first impression of Decayed tokens, I kind of roasted them.
Yes, you did.
Very significantly, in fact. But yeah, it turns out they're actually there's enough support in the set. I think the fact that you can just get them so easily, there's so many things that just give them to you for practically no cost. They're just stapled onto good cards. Means that you end up with quite a few of them, and there's a lot of ways to make use of them. So yeah, they're almost never dead cards. I actually find that I very rarely have to attack with them as the only thing I can do. And of course, you have that opportunity if you want to close out a game sometimes. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So that's probably my number one reason why black is so good is this card alone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's also just a ton of good removal.
Yeah, because you got Defenestrate and Olivia's...
The ambush.
Yeah, ambush.
Yeah, the -2, -2. Or if it's night, give -13 into turn instead.
Yeah.
There's also foul play, which has been good.
Again? Oh, it's the uncommon one, is it?
It's destroy a creature with power 2 or less and investigate.
Oh, and investigate.
There's also Infernal Grasp, which is the other 2 mana instant speed removal. Which
so much more.
Yeah. There's good card draw. You got the divination that loses 2 lives. You've got the Raised Dead that has flashback.
Oh, that card's actually that's one of the cards I would say overperformed for me quite significantly.
Yeah, definitely. That one's really good. The +1/+1 count has been a good addition to that card as well.
Definitely. I skipped over that line when I read it for the first time.
Yeah. But in general, it's a high power color with high synergy potential.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's my number one.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. As I was saying, when I was making this list, I had black at the top, actually, and I swapped it out at the last minute, but I definitely think they're very close in terms of how good they are, and they're both very, very good in this format. So the reason I went through with blue as my top is 2 reasons. One reason is also similar to your reasoning for black, is that the commons in blue are pretty crazy. One thing is I find if I'm up against a blue deck, I pretty much can't attack if they have mana open until turn 4 or 5 when I have some bigger creatures, because there's both... This is going to be the wrong card, isn't it? Is it Befuddle, or is that the right card? The 2 mana one that... Oh, Startle. Startle. Befuddle's a different card. But Startle is, give a creature -2/-0. You get a zombie out of the deal, right? Is that what it does?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a blowout when it doesn't work out for you. You attack into their just random 2/1 or whatever, and they get the kind of 2-for-1 off it. I guess it's only a zombie with decay, but it still feels pretty bad. And as we said, there's a lot of ways to use them. And then there's the Navel Ghast Spirit, I think is what it's called, or something like that. 3 mana, 2/1, and has the same sort of -2/-0 effect. And this time it comes with a body to boot, so a lot of times, even if they have no board, you don't really feel safe swinging in if you got a 2 toughness creature, which a lot of the cards in the set are.
Luckily that one's an uncommon, so you won't be seeing too many of those ones. Hopefully.
Oh, that's true. But I feel like just those 2 make it quite hard to interact with blue decks in combat in the early game. And even in the late game, just the -2 is actually pretty scary to think about in combat. But then it also has a lot of the Disturb cards, and I think Disturb is actually a mechanic that's proved to be really strong. And since blue has quite a few more Disturb cards than black, it definitely feels like it's easy to get 2-for-1s in blue, just off those cards alone. Where black is a little bit more into the werewolves color, which I think, in my opinion, werewolves have been slightly less powerful than I initially thought, and Disturb has been slightly more powerful.
Wait, what werewolves are in black? There's the 4/3.
Yeah. There's a couple, aren't there? There's I guess that's not a werewolf. There's the... I was thinking of the 1 mana one that floats, but even that's actually pretty good. I was thinking of the... Sorry, I guess... Because I was thinking of black-red. But black-red's actually more vampires, isn't it?
It's vampires, yeah.
Because that's actually... that's a good point. I haven't played that much of the black-red deck in particular, and that's one of the few decks that I haven't really gotten a chance to mess around with. But I was quite keen to try it just to see what it was like. I just haven't gotten the right pack opens to really push me into that direction. But no, now that you mentioned it, you're right. It's more vampires than werewolves even.
Yeah,
but definitely blue has more of the disturb cards, which I still think are quite good.
Yeah, definitely.
But regardless, I think that definitely they're both
they're very close.
Solidly the top, yeah.
They're very close.
Yeah.
One blue card that I think is the mythic common of the set. Do you think you could guess what it is?
Mythic common of the set.
Of blue mythic common of the set.
It's the one that makes the Stormcrow.
No, it is not that one.
I feel like I should know this, but I don't. So I guess
it appears very well disturb.
I think you're gonna have to just say it.
Okay, it's Organ Hoarder. Do you know what that one
that's
is?
the one that is that the 4-mana one?
Yeah.
Yep. Draws a card and
4-mana 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one into your hand and the rest in the graveyard.
Yes.
You want as many as these as possible if you're in blue.
That's true.
This good with zombie synergies, good with disturb creatures as well.
Yeah, and even just good on its own because you get the whole card draw sort of effect on there. So.
Yeah. So
and it's not a terrible body.
Yeah, so I think that those 2 cards there, Diagraph Horde and Organ Hoarder.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, those are 2 of my cards on my overperformers list.
Bit of foreshadowing.
But those are definitely, I think, the top 2 commons of the set.
Right. And I guess while we're on the theme of uncommons, I think probably one of the best uncommon ways to make use of Decayed Zombies, I do think the 1/3 that we were just talking about earlier, that can tap creatures by tapping 3 of your creatures.
That's a 2/1, right?
Is it a 2/1? Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right. And that card has been pretty powerful. I can't get my hands on them very often because they get picked pretty highly, but like being able to do all the usual tapper tricks, but without having to spend any mana, is really powerful, I think.
Yeah, because that's mana that you would probably spend on creatures anyway.
Exactly, so you can both develop your board and screw with their attacks and blocks quite easily.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a first pickable card.
Should we talk about a little bit about green?
Yes. So, I don't have too much... I'm not too familiar with green in this set.
Right.
Which is why I put it in the middle. I haven't played enough of it to get a definitive answer on where I should put it on the list, but you might have more of an answer to that.
I guess so. I think, I've played green a couple of times. I've been quite tempted to just go Sultai, honestly, in a lot of these drafts. Because I just like a lot of the cards in those colors. But I think green has some very strong flashback cards. So you've got the one that makes 4/4 for 4 mana. And you can flashback it for, I think, 7 to get another 4/4. That's just an on-curve 4/4, which kind of feels like one of those like power and toughness equal to mana cost spots on the curve that is probably the most impactful for me, usually in draft. I feel like a 4 mana 4/4 is just always solid. And in this case, later on in the game, which, when you've got 7 mana, it's not that late in the game. You just get another 4/4 off it. And I guess this isn't going into uncommon territory, but the card that you were talking about last time, which is Rise of the Ants, I believe?
Yeah.
That card has been awesome. I think...
It's... The life gain on it is really good.
It's crazy, because a lot of the time you just play it, and even if they're attacking you in the air, they now have to deal with 2 3/3s, and you're not really as close to dead as you were before, so they have to think about blocking at that point a lot of times, if they've been hitting you down. And just, it's not something that can be removed super easily, and then you get 2 more later on in the game with flashback. Oh, I really like that card. I think that's my my hot take for the set is I think that card is better than half the rest.
Yeah, I can back that.
Hey.
Honestly,
So, I
it's
mean, it's kind of pulling green ahead for me. But also, I think a lot of the cards are just pretty decent. As you were saying, there's a lot of, bites and fights and stuff like that in the format, which are pretty easy to get blown out on. And, yeah, just the cards in general, overall, have all felt pretty decent. There's a lot of cards that are just, like, solid cards to put in the deck, I feel like. Not necessarily crazy cards to write home about, but they just work well.
What I have liked with green is... One of my favourite cards in green is Eccentric Farmer.
Which one was that one again?
It's a 3-mana 2/3, and when it ETBs mill 3 cards, and then you may return a land from your graveyard to your hand.
No, I really like that card as well. I'm still not quite familiar with the names, so a lot of the times I just have to think about them a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes.
That card has been really good for me when I play green.
Right.
It's probably been one of the better cards in my deck.
Yeah, it draws you cards half the time because you mill a flashback or a disturb card and boom.
Really good with Evolving Wilds.
True, actually. Then you're guaranteed that you get a land back.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But yeah, apart from the flashback cards, like you got Rise of the Ants.
Yeah.
Path to the Festival is okay. This format is quite slow. So tapping out on 3 mana to ramp and scry 1 is not that big of a deal in this set, I feel.
Right. I guess this is a good point to talk about format speed a little bit. So, yeah, that's interesting. I haven't quite found I've felt that the format is at a particular place. I feel like I've still had some games where the games go really fast for some reason, and then some games where neither of us are doing anything for a little while, and that seems to be fine depending on the deck I'm playing as well. But yeah, in my opinion, I'd say it's felt like the speed of the format has been kind of varied. Because the archetypes vary so much in what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think, and this brings back to the blue and black pairing, whereas they've got cheap removal, they can deal with the early game really easily.
Right.
They've got good mid-range threats, and they've got enough on-board synergies and card draw to just go over the top. So
that's a good point, actually.
They're just so good at every point in the curve.
Yeah.
Whereas the other 3 colours, not so much. Green, maybe. What does green even have in the early game? Can you be aggressive with green?
I'm trying to think now.
There's not
there's
many...
There's a 3/1 for a 2 with green that I think if you have Coven, can't be blocked. Except by bigger...
That card is not good, though.
Yeah, I haven't played it myself. I guess I've mostly played green in sort of ramp decks, and that's been pretty awesome because, I think that kind of makes sense. The reason I've lent towards ramp decks is probably because just a lot of the top end has been a lot more attractive than the early game.
I think the early game has really suffered in this format, which is why I think it's a slower format.
That makes sense.
And there's a lot of board stalls, which is why the Wrangler and Siege Zombie are such high picks for me.
True. Yeah, I have felt that the board stalls are a bit more common than they have been in the last few sets.
Yeah, definitely.
So it does. And I guess then we were talking about red and white being kind of underperforming. So I think even though we both put them there on our list, I'm kind of keen to hear what you have to say about it. I think we have slightly different opinions, potentially.
Well, it's basically what I was just saying before, is I don't think aggro is good in the format, and red and white are traditionally the aggro colours in every format. They just run out of cards. White has disturb cards, which can get you there, can give you a bit of reach.
Yeah.
But red, I might even swap red and white, because I've got red at 4th and white at 5th. I might actually swap those, because white at least has some good top end, whereas red has big werewolves, but they're just big werewolves.
Right.
That
makes sense.
The 4-mana 3/4 werewolf, that you can
the one that gives first strike and
you can give first strike and you pump all your creatures. That's probably the best red has to offer.
Yeah.
In the common and uncommons, red has good removal. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think that's the reason why I put red above white, is because you've got the 2-mana deal 3 with looting stacked onto it if you want that option, which Surely never, right? Surely never.
Yeah, yeah. You've
Um,
you've got Immolation at your 1 drop slot.
yes,
Burn the Accursed at 5, deals 5. And
which
the
has actually been really good, I
2
think.
damage to them
And
is good, yeah. Yeah, that is definitely
the
good.
lightning bolt from last time.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think because of all those, I've been finding that red, even though I put it at fourth, I don't mind being in red because a lot of times there are cards in red that I don't mind playing, and I think it can be a solid second color.
Yeah, it's definitely a better support color than a main color, I feel.
Right, right. Although, also, if you get the right aggro deck together, I think aggro can work. You just have to get a really solid stack of cards. You were saying you haven't been too impressed with aggro in this format in general, though. You've tried playing a couple of them.
Yeah, I have not been impressed with aggressive decks in this format.
Right.
Because when are you killing them by? Like turn 5, turn 6?
Yeah, I suppose at that point they do have a chance to play something like Rise of the Ants and gain back some life and seal away the game.
Exactly. You got Rise from the Ants, you got Diagraph Horde, which is hard to deal with because it's got 4 toughness. That can be pretty hard to deal with for an aggressive deck.
Yeah. And I guess there's also the fact that there's 3 board wipes. Well, I guess 2, but there's 2 board wipes in the set. And there's, I guess, the black card they can get rid of zombies.
Well, there's 3, right? There's 3.
What's the third one? Oh, is there something that...
There's
Yeah.
a black one, a red one, and a white one, right?
Meat Hook Massacre.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But those
true,
are all
true.
rares and mythics, so you're not going to be seeing those too often.
Although I feel like I've seen them quite often, to be honest.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of burn down the houses, which
Yeah,
has been really
I've seen
annoying.
somebody cast Burn Down the House, I feel like at least 3 times against you. At least 3 different games I've seen
Yeah.
somebody do that against you.
I
And
think
then
so.
I haven't had it happen to myself, but the white one I've seen a couple of times as well, just while watching
Yeah.
some of our friends play. And I've had the Meat Hook Massacre come down against me. I guess, even though they're rares and mythics, the fact that there's 3 different options means that you do have to think about the possibility of a board wipe, because
Yeah, you definitely have to.
they do happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Which also, I suppose, hurts aggro in some ways, because you want to chuck stuff down on the board.
So, white is probably my least favorite color of this format, because white in limited formats has not been a good support color, right?
In general.
I feel like it's just not that good of a support color in limited,
Right.
because you got cheap creatures and not really that much else.
Yeah.
But the cheap creatures in this format, I feel like are just so lackluster. That let's have a look. I think one card that, if a white deck is going to be good, it will need multiple copies of this card, and that is Candlegrove Witch.
Oh, yeah. That card
Yeah.
is... That's one of the few white cards that I've been really impressed with, actually.
Yeah, it's 2 mana, 2/2, and Coven, it gains flying into end of turn.
Yeah.
Which,
It is better Gust Walker.
no, it's not better Ghast Walker.
It does more damage over time. Gust Walker only attacks 1.5.
That format had like ways to untap things and all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But yeah, other than that card, I'm not really seeing much else.
There is
To
one
be
more card in white
honest.
that I've been quite impressed with. I guess we're going through our sort of over and under performance as we go. But
Yeah.
Fleur of Faith is... Like, usually I'm not super high on combat tricks. I find them okay, and I do end up adding them to my decks that are playing to attack a fair bit. But Fleur of Faith just gives so much. There's a lot of humans flying around, and if it's so it gives a creature, it's 1 and white, give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a human, it gets +3/+3 instead, and gains indestructible. And that's just a lot for 2 mana. I suppose the best you get out of it is usually killing an annoying blocker, or occasionally you get 2-for-1s if they're like putting multiple things in front of a creature. But I do find myself a lot of times, if they've got mana open and they're a white deck, not really wanting to engage in combat with them, because I know that card is just going to beat anything I do.
That's definitely a good one. It's probably one of the better white combat tricks we've seen.
Yeah, possibly ever.
Recently.
It's so... Oh, it's so powerful. But yeah.
Because basically all your white creatures are humans anyway, so... it
Yeah,
doesn't-
exactly.
That clause isn't too relevant in a base white deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a good one. Search Party Captain is a good one. 2
So
mana.
that's interesting, right? Because even
4
though
mana.
it seems like it would be good, I've found myself that it's a little bit hard to, as you were saying, I guess because of the fact that it's kind of hard to get through with some creatures against a lot of the decks out there. There's a lot of good blockers still. I find it's kind of hard for me to usually get more than 1 mana discount on it, which I suppose at that point is still a 3 mana 2/2 that draws a card, so you can't complain too much. But
Yeah.
it does look like the upside is higher than it is.
I think it's been really hard to attack on turn 2.
Yeah, actually, I'd agree with you now that I think about it a little bit.
And that, I think, is a good reason why white is not as good as what it could have been.
Right. Which is surprising, actually, because I would have thought in a deck full of, or in a set full of creatures that can't attack with all the Decayed Zombies, being one of the main mechanics of the set, that it would be a lot easier to just get in there.
Yeah.
And while it does happen some games where they just have a bunch of stuff they can't really block, in most decks you end up having quite a few blockers to have to make your way through if you're going to deal some damage.
Yeah. The thing is, with all the Decayed tokens, they're all basically incidental.
Yeah, that's true.
You're always getting an effect with it anyway. So that's not. I feel like that's not too relevant to why white should be good.
Yeah, it's kind of how it's turned out to be.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough for white. Man, why is white always so bad?
No, it hasn't been so bad all the time. I feel like it was quite good in Strixhaven.
Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was red-white was a really powerful deck. I felt like.
Yeah, I
there was a lot of you just had stuff to do all throughout the game. But anyway, I guess that's a format a ways away now.
That's so far away now.
How was it in in the D&D set? I can't remember. I played a lot of red and black. Yeah, no, that's right. That was red-black tribal.
Yes, red-black was top, blue was worst, so white was kind of average.
Yeah.
I feel like white can never be top. I think because of what it does, and like the mechanics of the game, it just can't be the top.
No, it can. Wasn't it really good when we were talking about Ghast Walker? It was quite good in Armageddon, wasn't it?
I guess that form was extremely aggressive.
Yeah,
that was more the pairing of red white though.
That's true. I guess, yeah. When white's good, red's good.
Yeah.
Because the other example I was gonna give was the cycling deck from.
Nah.
What's it called? But that doesn't count.
That's a 5-color deck.
Well, kinda. I mean, it was mainly red, white, blue, but yeah.
Yeah.
From what was the name of the city again? Something about monsters.
Ikoria.
Yeah. Lair of the Behemoths. That was the full name.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, now that we've sort of gone through the colours, yeah, do you want to just sort of give us, what's your general impression been? How much, have you been finding it fun? Have you been sort of...
I've been finding it fun when I'm playing blue and black. That's because I've been winning with those colours. I have been struggling to win with other colours.
Yeah.
I did have a good red-white deck, which wasn't even an aggressive deck, it was a control deck.
Was that the one with 4 copies of the Deal 2 Gain 2?
Sacred Fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flashback Helix. That was my main reason for winning a lot of games, because I'd get them to like 6 life and then I'd just burn them out.
Right.
But other than that, I haven't not found much success with green decks, mostly, I think.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, so there was so I've also, I suppose, been playing quite a bit of, as I was saying, Sultai colors, just because of those cards we mentioned earlier. But there was at one point I did do a draft with the red werewolf that flips and gives haste to stuff. What's it called again? It's Stormseeker something.
I have no idea. But
I'll check it up on the screen.
Side note.
Yes.
Real quick. I heavily underestimated that card.
Yep.
It is busted in standard, and you should be playing that card with a Seeker's Chariot.
Hey, remember how I said Seeker's Chariot was good?
Well, yeah, come on, that that was good in an overpowered standard format. Of course it's going to be good now.
Yeah, but like...
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
fair enough.
Okay, you can have that one, sure.
Hey... I'm just looking up the Reckless Stormseeker. That's the card.
Yeah.
While you had a convenient distraction there.
Yeah.
I believe I talked about it last week. But just to recap, 3 mana in red, so 2 in a red. 2/3 human werewolf. Beginning of combat, you give something +1/+0 in haste, and it has daybound. And the Nightbound side is the same ability, but it gives +2/+0 and trample and haste instead, and it's a 3/4. So it pretty much turns out that you play this for 3, and for the rest of the game, your creatures have haste, which is quite powerful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mentioned this, I think, for standard and potentially historic, so sort of talking about it when we were doing our preview stream, or preview podcast, I suppose. But it turns out the effect's pretty good in draft as well. And I guess a lot of my wins did come from being able to play that. But aside from that, one card that I've been somewhat impressed with in red still, sometimes, is the card that gives you 3 red mana when you hit them.
The vampire.
If they've lost life. What's that called again? I probably should have done my research. Red.
Gotta do your research.
Yeah. I guess that's a card I kind of forgot I was going to be talking about.
Famished Foragers.
That's the one, Famished Foragers, thank you.
Yeah.
So, 4 mana, and when it comes down, you get 3 red mana, and it's a 4/3, I believe, is the stats on it. And you can, pay 3 and discard a card. But, that card does have some explosive turns, because, as we were mentioning, it's not always easy to get in damage in the first couple of turns, but if you do, this comes down and then you play another 3-drop behind it, you sort of almost get an extra turn worth of putting down creatures. And if you have multiple of these in your deck, which I did in that particular draft deck, you can kind of go off, because you play your other things. You play a good 3-drop on 3, good 4-drop on 4, and then on turn 5 you play one of these into another 3-drop. Just empty your hand, and at that point, it can be a little bit difficult to be blocking that many creatures.
It's like cascading.
It really is. It's a very all-in plan, and if they have blockers, it just doesn't work. So it's definitely, I found it quite high variance. There were some games where I just cast it as a 4/3, and I felt like it was a little bit subpar. But the ceiling on it is pretty high.
Yeah, and even if you do trigger it and you have nothing to play, discarding a card, drawing a card off it is still good.
Yeah, just get rid of your worst card.
The fact that it has a relevant ability, even if you can't use the mana to cast something else, is really good.
Yeah, but I guess coming back to that, it does show that I kind of needed that combination of things to go right in order for my red-white deck to do fairly well. Where Stormseeker is kind of just a busted card anyway, and I think I had 3 of these, so there were 3 of the Reckless... Oh, no, not Reckless Storm, the one that we were just talking about. I've already forgotten the name. Famished Foragers. Is that the one?
Yes.
Yep, Famished Foragers. I had 3 copies of that, so the likelihood of being able to cast multiple of them was pretty high, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, despite that, the deck still felt like it was quite close, and I ended up doing pretty alright. I think I managed to get 7 wins with it on Arena, but it was 7-2, and there were several games where it came down to the wire.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been a fun format, week 1, but I don't know how much I would be able to play this format because of the dominance of blue and black.
Right.
I don't know. It feels a lot like there was another format. I can't remember exactly what it was. Like Armankit, with the red white. You basically had to draft red white or you were gonna lose.
Right.
And this feels like kind of similar, where even if you're forcing it, if you're forcing blue black, you have a higher advantage. You have a bigger advantage than the other decks.
Maybe. I think it's still a little bit too early in the format for me to quite say that. And obviously, because we have our fairly similar ranking of our colors, I do agree with that to some extent. But I think, from my perspective, it hasn't been quite that skewed. I guess we've just come out of the D&D set, which I keep forgetting the name of. Forgotten Realms. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is the full name.
Well, you just call it D&D set.
D&D set.
There's only
everyone
one,
knows.
so
Yeah, true. For now.
true.
Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, that set was so skewed towards blue, towards blue being bad, I suppose, and towards red-black being really, really good, that I think this format is definitely still less crazy skewed than that, and so.
I think it's more.
Oh, you think it's more?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? Because I feel like in that format, whenever I played any blue cards, I felt like I didn't want them in my deck almost. I mean, there were exceptions, obviously, but it felt really, really bad to play blue cards a lot of times.
Oh yeah,
but,
I agree. Blue was really bad, but
yeah,
the difference between black red and the green white in that format, I think, is less than blue and black here. For the other
really?
colours. Yeah.
Right. I think currently I disagree with that. I think it was more, but I guess the fact that we're having this discussion at all sort of raises concerns there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can understand it's hard to balance things, and for wizards to balance how many sets, 3-4 sets a year, would be hard.
Along with all the different formats that they have to balance for.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess they said they don't really test for modern that much, but surely they do think about it in some capacity.
Yeah, you have to test limited and also like standard as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like testing limited would be quite tough.
Probably.
Especially when you got new mechanics like Decayed. They probably underestimated Decayed. I think.
Yeah, we all kind of did, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did as well. Because they did kind of staple it to everything.
Yeah, exactly. They made every card that had Decayed like slightly worse and just put Decayed tokens attached to them. Which
even then, some of them feel like they're literally just other cards with Decayed.
Yeah, exactly. But since it was so underrated, the Decayed mechanic is kind of just, I don't know, it's just so much more than what the other mechanics have to offer. I think Disturb, if you get a lot of the build arounds, is a really powerful mechanic.
Right. I actually think it's, in my opinion, it's kind of the other way around, where I think Decayed, you really have to have the payoffs, which there are tons of. There's heaps of payoffs, but occasionally you do get decks where you just don't end up picking up any payoffs, and then Decayed feels kind of average. Whereas Disturb, I feel like they're just good in a vacuum, because there's 2 cards in one. You have to do almost no work to get Disturb to be powerful. And decks that I've played like 2 or 3 Disturb cards, those cards have been among the best cards in the deck.
Yeah, but like stuff like the Griff, the 4-mana 3/2 thing.
Yeah.
That becomes a 2/2. Like that card's just kind of average. Like it's below rate on both sides, and that can sometimes make a good card. But in this format and like this, the power level of what cards are becoming is just not as good as what it used to be.
Right. Okay. I guess. Yeah,
Like,
I can kind of see where you're coming from. I still feel like personally, those cards have been kind of performing higher than I would have expected. Still.
I think, well, I when they were previewed, I was like, sweet, these are inbuilt 2-for-1 creatures. These will be great. So I think I overestimated how good they were.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like the Griff. Are you happy to play a 5-mana 2/2 flyer?
Yeah, a lot of times in the late game, because I already got to play whatever the front side of that one was. What's the front side? I should probably ask what that was. I can't remember at the moment.
A 3/2 for 4. Like
yeah.
Turn 5, your opponent plays like a 5/4 werewolf, and you go 2/2 flyer. Like
yeah, I guess the main thing is because it is a little bit under the curve or whatever. I think a lot of times you'd rather play whatever else you have in hand first, but for the most part, if the rest of your deck's bad, then I guess you can't really lean on them being a crutch, yeah? But if the rest of your deck's good, then you just kind of get that as free stuff to play later on in the game. You just don't run out of steam. Your stuff dies and you just get it back. And
yeah,
I'm not too keen to play it on turn 5 for a 2/2, but if on turn like 8 or whatever I draw my 3rd land in a row, and I just make a 2/2 with my turn. I think I'm pretty happy with it.
I think it's more. I'm kind of looking at more of a mana efficiency.
Right, because I guess
kind of
we're
thing.
talking about, again, like in this case, it's a white card. If you're playing it in a aggressive deck in a red-white sort of build, that's definitely not gonna... A 5 mana 2/2 is not gonna push you over the line in terms of getting the
Wait.
last few points of damage in.
No, it's a blue card.
Oh, it's a blue card? Oh, never mind. I am confused.
Yeah. What's the name of it? It's
For some reason, I thought we were talking about a white card. I'm still getting used to all these names. Like I feel like I've played tons of limited,
Gale
but
Drifter.
there's just so many cards, so many names.
Gale
Yeah.
Drifter.
Gale Drifter.
Yeah, it's a hippogriff.
I should have looked at the card first.
But yeah, it trades down a mana so easily.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, this card. No, yeah. Sorry, I recognize the art. Yeah.
like stuff like that. Immolation kills it. Like,
I suppose so. The immolation is a pretty big tempo. So I guess that sort of leads us into another thing, which is, I would agree with that this format is one where I think it's felt like the most tempo-y format, where you can just get ahead on games so easily by just getting like a little bit more out of your mana cost than your opponent. So I kind of see what you're saying actually in the end.
yeah. Which some of the Disturb cards are really good. I really like the blue-white one.
Oh, is that the one that comes back from the yard and gives some bonus to tokens or something like that?
No,
No?
it's not.
Which one is it?
What's it called? Where is it? Where are you? Ah, I've lost it. Why is it not with the... Where is it?
I looked up disturb cards. There's a lot of do not disturb door signs.
Not quite what we're wanting.
Not quite.
Where is it? It's not even here. It's not in the spoilers.
Oh.
What's it
It's
called?
not a real card. It's an uncommon, right?
Yeah. A devoted Graph Keeper, that's what it is. It's
Graph
white
Keeper.
blue 2/1 when it ETBs mill 2, and whenever you
Yep.
cast a spell from your graveyard, tap a creature.
Oh, that one, actually, yep. That one is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess I
Like,
see what you're saying, where
that's-
there it's a 2 mana 2/1 into a 3 mana 3/1 with
That's
flying.
that's aggressively costed, like very
Yeah.
aggressively costed. Whereas a lot of the other Disturb cards are not so aggressively costed. Like there's the Stormcrow one, but that's just a Stormcrow, you know.
I kind of have liked that card, to be
Oh.
honest.
I'm sorry I'm dissing the Stormcrow, but no, it is a good one. It trades and it comes back, so it is a decent card. But a lot of the Disturb cards are just so like they're so clunky, I feel.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like in the end we're probably rating these more or less similarly in terms of the order that we pick them in. But I guess I'm just happier on a emotional level to have these in my deck than you are, I think.
What? I've played a decent amount of Gale Drifters, and I've not been impressed by it.
Because I've quite liked it, to be honest.
What?
Every time I play it, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to be doing.
What?
But it sort of depends on the deck surrounding it, and I guess we might build things in slightly different sort of capacities, but...
Yeah.
There's also the fact that the last time I was playing Gale Drifters, I was playing them on turn 2 off the Mana Dork and green-blue, so that probably helped a bit.
Wait, you're playing this on turn 2?
Sorry, turn 3.
I was
not
gonna
turn 2.
say.
Playing the 2 Mana Dork in green-blue uncommon. I had 2 of those in the deck, and so I was playing Gale Drifters on turn 3. But not turn 2. That would be pretty crazy.
Yes, it would be. At that point, it would be good. Yeah, I think it would be.
So I suppose give us more 2 mana ramp. No, don't do that. It's a
No,
bad idea.
don't do that. No.
Even though I really like ramping in draft, but yeah. No, that's fair. Interesting discussion to disturb there.
I'll definitely play them.
Yeah.
Like, they are inbuilt 2-for-1, so you're never unhappy to play them, I guess.
Yeah. I guess if we were to give them like a limited resources style grade, what would you give Gale Drifter just for the hell of it?
C-.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I think we might be slightly different because I think I'd take it as like a solid C.
Okay, it's not too
Maybe,
different.
nah, probably not a C plus. I think I'd definitely just take it as a C. Yeah,
It's not too different. Yeah, C minus C
yeah.
is yeah
Pretty
where
much
I'd
the
put it.
same, actually.
Yeah, I'd put it around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, next up, then we want to talk a bit more about some of the cards we haven't touched on yet that were over or underperformers.
Well, I've talked about all my overperformers.
Right. What
Which-
underperformed for you then?
My underperformers
Yeah.
were...
Throw some shade.
Okay, number 1, Thermo Alchemist.
Hiya.
So, I really like this card, and
Same.
I really wanted it to be good,
Yeah.
but this is not the format for it.
Yeah, the blue-red spells deck hasn't really been a thing, has it?
I drafted a really good blue-red spells deck, which went 7-1.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, it did not have any Thermo Alchemists, but I don't even think it would have been good in my deck.
Really?
Yeah,
That's surprising to me, actually.
it would have done maybe like 3 or 4 damage. It doesn't even block that well in this format.
Yeah, I
Everything has
suppose
such
it blocks
high
decay
power.
zombies, but people are usually finding better uses for those than that.
No one's going to attack with a decay token when you have an 0-3, you know.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't been a very good blocker, which is what it's kind of meant to do.
Right.
And the damage is kind of it can be relevant, but I'm doing the spells deck does so much damage in like it does damage in chunks rather than pinging. That the
Yeah, that
pinging
makes
doesn't
sense.
really add that much. Like I would still play it in the deck, but it's just not as good as what it could have been.
Yeah.
But,
Do you reckon it's good in the black red they take damage deck? Like I know we were saying the aggressive decks haven't been that good, but I imagine like if you get a really good black red deck, do you reckon you play it just as a way to ping your opponent to keep triggering your cards?
like vampires and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. So you pick up
Yeah.
Florian,
Yeah.
draw a card every turn. Ooh.
That's a good combo. Yeah, that would be good.
Maybe
That
it's
would be
more
good.
of a plan for that, but yeah, I guess it is disappointing that the card that's traditionally just like awesome to play a bunch of spells into is potentially not as great in the red blue deck.
Yeah, because you're not really playing more than one spell a turn.
Yeah, I've been really wanting to play the blue red deck actually. Like I've been wanting to make a blue red deck work in this format because there are a couple of cards that seem really sweet, but I just haven't gotten the right pack opens to really go that direction yet.
Yeah.
I opened one blue-red rare, and that's the one that's a 3-mana thing that gives a discount for its power, and you get +1 counters on it for some reason at some point. This is a bad description. It's a 1/3.
Yep, that's a card I hope. What is it?
I'll check it up on the screen and editing, but yeah, I mean that's supposed to be, I guess, one of the spell rares or whatever, but it's just not a card that I was too keen to put on a deck because it's kind of just a 1/3 for 3.
It's a 1/2.
1/2, is it?
Vedric Astral Archmage.
That's the one, yeah.
It's a 1/2, and
Ah,
it gets
that's why I
counters.
didn't put it.
It gets counters when day becomes night or night becomes day.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I found that all the cards that care about day becoming night and night becoming day are just hard to proc enough times for me to be keen on them for the most part. Some of the werewolves, their backsides are good enough that it's worth being able to flip them every now and then. But a lot of the cards that specifically say like deal 1 damage when this happens, or tap a creature, or there's quite a few different variations on that effect. I found I've been like quite hard to get value out of.
I think blue-red is the easiest way to manipulate day and night.
True, because you've got ways to cast multiple spells, cheap spells that cantrip.
And there's a lot of instant speed stuff. So a lot of the time you can just pass the turn, make it night, and play spells on their turn.
Right.
And you do have the cheap spells to play 2 spells on your turn if you need to.
Is Vedric actually good? Did I pass up a good opportunity to go blue-red?
I would not be able to help it if I saw this in pack 1. Pick one.
I think it was pack 2 for me. That's why I didn't play it.
Oh,
as well.
okay.
It was pack 2 when I was in like black blue. I think I could have potentially pivoted to blue red, but
If I opened this at Pro Tour, I'd be taking it.
fair enough. Ooh, okay, sold.
No, maybe
I may have
maybe
underestimated
not
as well.
And an FNM I would take it, but maybe not Pro Tour.
Right. No, it's too late. You've given it your seal of approval.
Ah, no. What about you? Do you have any underperformance?
Yeah, I guess there were a couple of overperformers that I wanted to get to. I guess that we still haven't talked about. Actually, no, there was just one. One card that I guess I briefly wanted to mention. Not because it's overperformed wildly, but because it's been better than these kind of effects usually are, and that's Silverbolt.
Yeah.
I think every time I see one of these effects, where it's a 1-mana artifact that has some sort of expensive sacrifice cost to deal a small amount of damage to a creature, I'm like, alright, that's the D level removal spell that you play if you have absolutely nothing else, and sort of move on. And in my first draft, I think I saw a couple of these go past, and I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily like the best card in the set or anything, quite far from it, but I then had my opponent in a few games just like kill my stuff with it, and I was like, this is actually not a bad deal for what it is. Like, total 4-mana investment to deal 3 damage, and if it's a werewolf, you just straight up destroy it, which werewolves are kind of the biggest creatures in this format anyway, and most of the other stuff is in range of this. I feel like it's actually been a decent removal spell. Not one that I'd pick super highly, but I'd be pretty happy to pick one up later in the game and probably play like one in the deck if I had nothing else.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the better versions of this card we've ever seen.
I think it's got to be the best version of this card we've ever seen in
It's got
common,
to
right?
be. It's the most efficiently costed one.
Yeah. Because a lot of the other ones have dealt like 2 damage for 4 mana, or I don't know, maybe not quite. 2 damage for 3, and like was one of the more recent ones, and there was one that dealt like 5 damage. Oh, for 5 mana, you dealt.
There was
like
one
3
that
damage.
you rolled. You could like in the D&D
yeah,
set.
that's right,
There was
from
one you
the
could
D&D
roll.
set. Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that it just straight up kills a werewolf or wolf.
It's actually pretty. Oh, I don't think it does it if it's a wolf, but I guess you can wait until
just a
night.
werewolf?
Yeah, it's an instant speed thing, so you can pass the turn, make it night, and kill something.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess
it's
once
common.
again, like, yeah, nothing too crazy, but it's been good.
I think you would always want one. So.
Maybe. If you're in a black deck and you just get all the good black removal, I think you potentially wouldn't play it, but...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think blue decks, because blue doesn't normally have the best removal, I think.
Yeah, pretty happy to have this on a blue deck.
Good to have this, yeah.
But I guess that was the main like overperformer. Other than that, underperformer, I really wanted Heirloom Mirror to be a good card. The one in a black artifact. It has pay 1, tap it, pay 1 life, discard a card, draw a card, mill a card, then put a ritual counter on Heirloom Mirror. That's a lot of stuff going on. But then if you put 3 counters on it that way, you transform it, and you can only activate it as a sorcery. It transforms into a 4/4, and you can pay 3 mana to exile a card from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this was a card that we were talking about right at the start of the format. And we were trying to figure out whether this was good or not, and we're both pretty low on it, I suppose. But we wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt because, I guess we heard rumblings that it might be a good card. So I gave it a shot, and while it wasn't terrible, I don't think I'd be keen to put this effect in my deck most of the time because the backside is great, but paying 1 life 3 times is kind of relevant. Sinking 3 mana into it before you can actually get it to flip. That means that you do go down in tempo quite a bit. You end up, losing life, losing mana, and sure, you get to loot away some of your bad cards and potentially get some value off it. But the 4/4 is then tapped once you flip it, and it's only as a sorcery, so there's a lot of downsides. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through in order to get your 4/4 flying. And then the backside of it is great if you get to flip it, but yeah, I suppose it's just been a little bit more effort than I'd be keen to put into a card.
Yeah, the build up on it is the main crutch of the card is the build up, right?
Yeah.
Once you get there, it's going to be the best creature in play. But
probably, but then they just play like the 6/6 demon or something, and you're like, oh well, I guess.
What, the mythic?
Yeah,
What? No, not everyone's gonna have the mythic.
I guess so. But there are some good top end. Yeah, I guess this is an uncommon, so I shouldn't really be comparing it to rares or mythics, should I? But
Yeah.
yeah, continue.
The fact that it loses your life is like
Pretty relevant.
pretty brutal because you have to lose 3 life.
Yeah.
So it costs you 5 mana and 3 life to get a 4/4 flyer.
4/4.
To get a tap 4/4 flyer.
The looting,
Yeah.
I guess, in a deck that has enough, what's it called?
Disturb,
Of the
flashback.
graveyard stuff. Yeah, flashback and disturb. If you're playing kind of like a controlling deck with a lot of disturb and flashback, I think I'd be maybe still keen to give this another shot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But in an average deck, I've been slightly less keen on this, and I'll still play it sometimes, I suppose. So it's not a card that I'd like cut from my deck for a D or anything like that. But I guess I'd probably go down to like maybe a C- on it.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
I just haven't seen it be good. D plus.
D plus. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, one card that I overlooked and I think has overperformed
Yep.
quite a decent amount is Ecstatic Awakener.
I'm gonna have to look this one up as well.
You know what it is. It's black for a 1/1.
Oh
And you
yes, I
can-
do know what it is. Yes.
Yeah. You can pay 3 and sacrifice another creature to draw a card and then transform Ecstatic Awakener. And you can do it at instant
card
speed.
is sweet.
It turns into a 4/4. No abilities, it's just a 4/4. But the fact that you can just eat a decayed token, you can eat something that they're trying to remove, it's just, and you're getting a card for that as well. It's just so good. And it becomes a 4/4. Like, that's going to be good against a lot of creatures.
Yeah, you can need a whatever I keep forgetting disturb, the mechanic disturb. For some reason, it's not sticking. But you can eat a disturb creature.
That's true.
And get value off it that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, this card has always been fine, or always been good. There's never really been a situation in which I've seen this on the field and it's been underperformer. Because I guess worst case you just play it as a 1/1 and have that ability later on if you want it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. No, I've been impressed by that one.
Yeah, me too. Decent common.
Yeah.
uh,
Anything else you've got on your list?
I think that about does it for specific cards. Yeah, I guess we wanted to talk about whether we think this format is a Prince or a Pauper format, right? Is it dominated by rares? Is it sort of more of a format where you focus on the commons and uncommons?
Now, I didn't come to a
Conclusion on that one?
set, conclusion. But I think it is more of a Pauper format.
Right. See, I actually thought initially when we were talking about it, we tried to not have the discussion too much beforehand so that I could be legitimately surprised. But I actually thought you were going to say it was more of a Prince format. But I kind of agree. I think it's more of a Pauper format where there's definitely a couple of rares that stand out. One being the Huntmaster, which I think we might have talked about last time.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, that card is pretty crazy. But a lot of the uncommons are so powerful that, as we were saying about the Ants card, for example, it feels like that card in particular is better than half the rares. And there's a lot of other cards that are just so good that at uncommon, and even some of them at common, that you'd consider taking them over some of the rares. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of
definitely.
power level sort of spread throughout the rarities, I feel like.
Yeah, which I really like. Prince formats are generally not very well. They don't play well, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not super fun when you just sort of draw your good card and win, or lose because your opponent drew their good card first.
Yeah, and there's definitely some rares and mythics that will do that to you in this format. Like
Yeah,
Burn Down the House is
that's a pretty crazy card.
is a pretty crazy one. That will definitely win a lot of games.
The Lifelink Angel?
What, Liar? Lisa?
Is that the one?
Lisa?
Yeah,
is it?
something like that. That card's pretty crazy.
That one's pretty crazy. Yeah, Lisa. Yeah. All your dead creatures return to your hand, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like a random 4-power lifelink flyer for some reason.
Yeah. And it exiles disturb creatures. Nice.
But yeah, for the most part, I think overall it's been a format where the rares and mythics have been like interesting rather than completely dominating.
Yeah, which is good. I have been enjoying this format.
Right. Sweet. Yeah, same here, definitely. And I really like again, the flavor of it is just super sweet. The sort of macabre zombie kind of horror murder stuff has been kind of cool to go back to after we've had quite a few airy fairy kind of sets.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of very light fairy tale inspired stuff. But yeah, this is actually really cool. I'm loving the art. I'm loving the flavor of the set, and yeah, fingers crossed the whole color power disparity doesn't sort of make the format go stale too quickly, and I suppose it might, but for now, definitely having a blast playing it, and I'm keen to draft quite a bit more in the coming week, I think.
Yep, I'll definitely be drafting quite a bit. I said I might not be drafting this format for that long, but I'll definitely be playing it for probably a few more weeks. We'll see how it goes. See if the format kind of corrects itself.
Yeah. Maybe people figure out how to hate out the blue and black.
Yeah.
Unlikely. Those cards are really good.
Yeah. That's the issue with Limited, is like, it's very hard to correct it once it's out there.
But even then, I do think at least you can pair a lot of colors with blue or with black, and make some decks that are pretty powerful just by taking advantage of the commons and uncommons in those colors. So at least you don't have to play straight up blue-black potentially to do super well. I think green-blue is a very solid color combination when you get the right cards. You can get some pretty sweet ramp going there.
Yeah, my first draft was green-blue, and I got 7 wins with it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose aside from that pretty much concludes it from my point of view. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's all we have for today, because all we had was Limited today.
Yeah. So in that case, I suppose it's time for a round of Monkey Do.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's your turn this time.
Oh, no. Okay.
So, let's pop a random card, shall we? This is a card from a set that's not that long ago. I'm going to see if you know it. You might know it, you might not. Bonds of Mortality.
Is that a black card?
I'll describe the card and I'll tell you.
Bonds of Mortality.
Bonds of Mortality.
All I can picture is Bonds of Faith. That massive minotaur.
Oh, right.
Bonds of Mortality.
What'd it do?
It's an aura. Hopefully I got that right. It's a 3. It's 2 and a black for an aura, and at the beginning of the enchanted creature's controller's upkeep, they have to sacrifice a creature or something.
Ooh, that's actually an interesting thing, because we kind of have a card like that in the set, don't we? We have the 2/1 that flips into one of those.
Yeah.
In black. And that's an effect that they've been printing. So, not a terrible guess, but unfortunately, it's totally wrong.
Yes, I thought it would be.
It's a green. You got the fact that it's an enchantment at least, but it's not an aura. It's just a regular enchantment. So 1 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, and the only ability on it is pay 1 green mana. Creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and indestructible until the turn.
What was I thinking of?
I don't know. This is the one from Oath of the Gatewatch. What?
The card I'm thinking of. It's from. It's
the enchantment set, right? The Theros Beyond Death.
It is. Yes, it is.
I think I know what you're talking about.
What's that called?
I kind of want to look this up now. Theros Beyond Death. How do you even search this up? Just aura.
Just going on Strifle, you know.
Surely it will just come up. It's not Mogus' favor. It's not Maya's Grasp.
It's Minions Return. That's the one I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
That's the one I'm thinking of. Because I saw one on my desk earlier today. I threw it out.
Oh.
It was foil.
What, you mean you're not going to play a full Minions Return in Modern?
No, I'm not.
What?
No. I also got the ability on it wrong, so.
Although that doesn't affect they've been printing lately, so it's not a bad.
They
case.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
And, next time.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I think that about does it for today. Thanks for joining us on the Crow Days podcast, and see you next week for some more shenanigans and card discussions and whatnot. Have a good one.
See you guys next week.